This is Visionary New Earth Leaders Podcast with me, Jenny Lyon, empowering visionary healers, entrepreneurs and leaders ready to actualize their fullest potential by expanding their consciousness and embodying 5D leadership and blending cutting-edge energy tools with business innovation and strategy to create impact and raise the world's vibration. I'm your host, Jenny Lyon Rainbow Anderson, and I am a New Earth business mentor, a channel and master healer. I'm also the leader of my own business. I have 23 plus years experience in energy work, mentorship and coaching. I'm a married mother of 2 based outside London in the UK. If you're ready to step into New Earth leadership and 5D consciousness, this is the channel to tune into and learn about embodied New Earth leadership, the power of self, energetic solutions to leadership, spiritual entrepreneurship, and joyful feminine creation. This is the vortex supporting the leaders into the new earth.
Hello and welcome back to Visionary New Earth Leaders. We are at the very end of the leadership archetypes. We have one more to go after this one today. So I've really been enjoying doing these. I have absolutely loved doing these. And I feel like I probably will be doing something more in depth with the leadership archetypes, which would be really cool. So let's dive into the number 7, which is in Hebrew, Zion. It is in the soul contract work. It is a master number with great power, and the core or the main focus with the 7 is to work with and heal the heart, and I'm going to explain more about why that is. The 7s also link people, groups and hearts together, so which is amazing. So that's really fantastic for leadership just in general. It catalyzes groups, and it's not only groups, spiritual groups, but it's also groups at work, groups for collaboration, groups for working towards something together, which is really brilliant. So to have an activated 7, and a 7 that works really well, it's very magnetic and pulls people into your field, is brilliant because it's good for leadership, right? Just generally. So that's a really really good thing to remember about it. So let's talk about the 7 and how does it play a role in leadership. So 7s are really strong. You know, people with 7s have very strong energy, I would say. They are very catalytic, just generally. Decisive, if it's in a positive connotation, takes action. It's very, it gets things done, although that is with the 6 as well, but the 7s are very catalytic and demonstrative people. So they are great for leadership and leading groups, simply, whether that is their own company or whether that is at work in a corporate setting or, in a place where they're working. So let's look at the positive aspects first. So they are versatile, adaptable, very intellectual and logical. So I suppose the best way to describe a 7 in its absolute best, or in the most beautiful way, is, for example, I can take myself as an example. So when I coach my groups, so I prefer groups. I do work one-on-one with people. I do love that as well. I've always done that. But I love coaching groups. I really enjoy being in a group, teaching them, guiding, catalyzing them, all the things, right? So I suppose with 7 activators, so I have a 7 in my spiritual talents, which means simply I'm here to catalyze groups of spiritual people, help them heal, ascend, and go to the next level, or evolve and develop in this lifetime. So when I do that, it's like a great sense of home. It's a great sense of feeling deeply fulfilled, happy, stimulated, fulfilled. All the words, that describes joy and describes happiness. And that's how I feel. And I feel it's almost like the energy comes from within. So when I am coaching a group, or let's say we're doing hot seat coaching, or we are simply just working on an issue together, or there might be a mastermind situation, I just feel totally at home, and I feel totally like this is my mission, this is my calling to be in this group, because it is in my spiritual talent. So I'm not saying that people having a 7 in another place wouldn't feel that way, but it's like the most natural thing to me, and it's the most beautiful natural thing that could just feel so natural to me. And I think when somebody really are in their talent, or really activated in their talent position, it feels like the most natural thing to do. And I think it's so important to understand your soul contract, isn't it? Because if you know all the numbers and understand them, and then create your life and your business in alignment with them, you are then living a fully, truly happy, aligned, and a beautiful life, right? So I think that's so important, because ultimately that's why we came to Earth this lifetime, to create happy, abundant, aligned and fulfilled lives, helping others, serving others. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the positive frequencies. So, and then we're gonna talk about the negative connotations of the 7 when it's in a karmic position, etc. So, it is the energy of love that ends duality. The linking sign, which is for the 7, it's linking hearts together. And one of the core wounds for 7s is that they hide who they truly are, because they are afraid of being rejected. So they will live double lives. I mean, I'm not saying double lives as being married and then having another family somewhere, well, possibly, but not maybe to the extreme all the time, but they will live double lives. And that comes from they are then being in duality, basically, because they are afraid of showing who they truly are. But we're going to go into the negative connotations later. But the energies of love that ends duality, it is also the energy of action and being a demonstrative sign, or like be a demonstrative person of great power. It's also being a link which unites and serve as a catalyst for others, and like-hearted and mind people, or like-minded and like-hearted people. So I can really see how this is working also with karmic locks. So for example, my husband have a 16-7, so he has a 7 in that, but the 7 in itself is locking into my karmic physical 7. So I have also a karmic physical 7, so I know all about hiding. What happens is that 7 that he has in his chart catalyzes my 7 to go into action, and we lead together actually in our relationship, and very linked in, and we catalyze each other. We have an amazing soul contract chart actually, that really complements each other, which is brilliant. But yeah, so they really, the 7s can really, not just the 7s, but if you have a karmic lock, and if you are have a great soul contract number set that your partner or someone else in your family have, it can really help the numbers, or help the energies in the, not just in the relationship but in your life as well. So he makes me more catalytic and more decision orientated. Takes this together, it takes those decisions, but it's just a brilliant combination. It's also really good energy for networking, and group energies. So anyone with sevens, whether you have them in a positive or negative aspect, so positive is in your physical or spiritual talent, and negative connotation is in your karmic positions, so physical or spiritual karma, and then you have gold positions, which are half negative connotation and half positive. So wherever you have it, you will benefit from doing networking. And I noticed this with my business. When I do a lot of networking and meet new people, it really does help me to, I feel good, but also it's something that activates and catalyzes in me, and I then catalyze other people as well. I get to know new people. It's just a brilliant way anyway for business and leadership to network, not just for people with sevens, but it's brilliant for the sevens to do that and really choose the group, choose group energies. The next thing is the ability to finalize the decisions. So somebody with a 7, even the ones that have it, even if you have it in a positive aspect. So I've got mine in spiritual talent and physical karma. So I have one in a positive aspect and one in a negative aspect, right? It is so important to finalize decisions, to actually make the decision. So I've seen people with 7 humming and ahhing back and forth, really thinking about it for a long time, like really. And the longer they go on and think about it, the worse it gets. It's almost like they do their own head in, basically. It's just like too much. So what I've learned is to just go with, drop inside, decision done, make the decision, move forward. Maybe my 9s are helping me as well with that. But yes, so if you think about this in a leadership position, it's, this is a fantastic, the catalyst is a fantastic leader that get the team going, gets the team going, gets everyone motivated, inspired, gets everyone, working together. It's just a brilliant energy for leadership. It's also being gregarious. And the energies of Solomon, which is the arbitrator and judge, the counselor, the matchmaker, with the ability to see objectively and both sides of a situation. So it also makes a good judge. So I suppose if you work in a workplace and you are a CEO or a leader or somebody who makes decisions, you need to be able to see both sides of a story, right? You need to know and have good judgment of what's fair and everything. So having that with a 7 is brilliant as well for leadership. And also being, it's not just about being good leader, but it's also being trusted by your people, and being, leading them with objectivity, if you want. The next thing is the energy of Gemini, and all that is versatile, adaptable, intellectual, and logical. So the Gemini lesson actually is about the person being 2 people and having 2 different, it's like having a facade. But I'm going to talk about that in the negative connotations, but it is a Gemini lesson. It's about learning to become one person and not being 2 different personalities. It's about being the same person all the time, fundamentally at the core, and showing that side of oneself to everyone, not just to, to your family, but being the person that you are, showing all sides truly who you are everywhere. I used to hide my spirituality with my 7s. Most people didn't even think I was spiritual. They thought, nah, she's just a normal person. And then when I showed and explained how deeply spiritual I am, they were absolutely astonished. That was my 7th hiding. I didn't think I would be liked at the time if I showed them that I was spiritual. This was the fear of rejection. The transmission of the soul's magnetic energies of love in the world and to attract others and end duality. And that's the main, or one of the main things that we're working towards, isn't it, in Ascension, to end duality, accept that duality exists, but end duality, and actually come into oneness and unity, and then feeling safe to be to be myself or feeling safe to be myself. So when it comes to leadership, I think all these beautiful characteristics are absolutely fantastic. And there's something that you can, if you don't have a 7 and you feel that you want to create more magnetism and create more attraction in your business and things like that, 7s are the absolute fantastic number to use. And I really recommend it. So let's dive into the negative connotations. So, the control freak. So it sounds maybe a little bit harsh, and I think it's a saying. It's a control freak is somebody who's like super controlling. So the control comes from fear, comes from trauma, it comes from wounding, really. It's not because they like to control for the sake of controlling. It is this fear it's the fear of losing face, And if they control the situation, they then continue to hide what the truth is and who they truly are because they're scared of being rejected. If they control instead, no one's going to really question them. They're just going to feel controlled, and it's an awful energy, isn't it, to be controlled? But I'm sure that if you have worked in a place or you've been in a group and there's been someone that I'm sure you've experienced controlling people in leadership, and that's typically then the 7, which it's just really hiding the energies due to the fear of being rejected. That is truly what the controlling is. And also when there's it's a fear of safety, so they don't feel safe on a heart level. If they then control the exterior and make that work in that sense, it's like the only thing they can control of, and then also they can hide behind that control so that they don't get hurt again. So it is truly a trauma. I would say that 7s are probably I wouldn't say it's hard to work with 7s. It's not hard at all, but it requires a lot of finesse and a lot of softness and a lot of love to break through with a 7. Because what happens, I'm talking now from a therapy and from a coaching perspective, what happens with somebody with a 7 is that they feel so unsafe. They need to find people that they feel safe with, but they feel so unsafe that they won't show who they are. They could get up in the morning, put their makeup on, or get ready and say, no, I'm fine, I'm good. And you look at them and they go, oh my God, you look amazing. Wow, they're doing so well, this person. Behind that could be, they could simply just be absolutely like breaking. Yeah. So they can really physically hide who they are and what's going on in their life. And it's typically like, I can actually remember a time where I did that. So I had just give you an example how that could play out. I had an issue in my tooth, and this is years ago, and I think it's 2019. Long story, but I had an issue with my tooth, and it's really painful, but I was working, I did everything that I could. I didn't actually know what it was to begin with, because when I went to the dentist, they couldn't see anything, but it was much further up in the root. Long story. Anyway, I was in pain. I had pus, I could feel the pus in my sinuses. I was just ill. But I wasn't as ill as, that I couldn't work. It was just painful and I didn't know what was going on. I kept soldiering on with my 7s, put makeup on, do my work. I had gone to the doctor and the dentist. I wasn't addressing it, but I was literally hiding it and pretending that it was fine. Like, I'm fine, I'm doing this. It is a little bit sore, I'm working on it, but it's not that bad. Really? Really? No, it was really bad, I was hiding it. And anyway, it resolved in the end, and I can now look back and think, that's a typical 7 scenario, hiding, and no one, and everyone's like, you look great, and I'm thinking, I feel like absolute dire, so that's it's just another sort of aspect of the hiding. And so it's also an indecision over whether to be present a true self to others or the facade. This is what I was talking about, presenting my true spiritual self to people. And this is years ago. Like, this is before I did this work. So I'd say in the 1990s, where I was exploring a lot of my spirituality and learning a lot, and esoteric books, etc. But so that's what was at the time what was happening. And most people, so I had my spiritual people group, maybe 4 or 5 people that knew I was very spiritual, and I used to meditate with them, and we'd go to different places to not necessarily concerts, but we were going to different activities and things like that had to do with spirituality, meditation. I did some Buddhist, not training, but Buddhist teachings. I got into that. This was in the beginning of my journey. And then my other friends, some of them who had known me for a long time, had no idea. And then I had some new friends as well at work and things like that, and they had no idea. They didn't know. And I suppose you don't tell everyone everything, but if anyone today would say, "Oh, Jenny, what does she do?" "Oh, she's she's a coach or a mentor, and she helps people to activate their spiritual gifts, and she's a leader in the spiritual space. She's a self-made spiritual mentor." Everyone would know that now. I mean, look, it's even it's everywhere on the website, and there is no doubt of what I'm doing. So I do feel like I am one person all the time, in the sense of who I truly am at a deep level. I can maybe show more of my spiritual side sometimes to certain people, and then a little bit less to other people. But that's just circumstantial, that's not because I'm hiding anything. So it's very interesting, isn't it? And that's about feeling unsafe to show the true self. And that comes back to the heart wound. So the heart wound is the child. So in my scenario, not feeling safe as a child, not terribly, but my parents were divorced, so there was that feeling of not being safe in one unity like family, and being hurt as well as a child. My father not being there, and then I was with him, and then I was with my mum, and going back and forth, as a child with separated parents. So the heart wound was very much about, feeling wounded and hurt as a child. And then I internalized all that with my 3s, and I didn't speak about it. So I've healed a lot of that now, the heartbreak. So my heartbreak was with my dad, really. I really was so close to him, and I didn't see him very much. And he was feeling the same with me. He really missed me a lot. So that's like the rejection. No, it's not a rejection, but it is technically that you're not close to someone that you want to be close with, and it's the disconnection also from the inner truth. And so what happens is, with this heartbreak, due to the rejection or the lack of love or the rejection trauma, the person starts then applying controlling energies, and then the inability to let go to protect the self from rejection. So it becomes very rigid, actually. It can become very, very strict, the energy. It also an energy of isolation. So this is the thing, right? If you are a leader or a CEO at the top, and you have a lot of responsibility, the feeling of emptiness inside and the isolation could then really start playing out, because this is a common thing in leadership anyway, that the person with the finalizing decision-making position has no one to talk to, unless they have a mentor, unless they have someone, a good friend, or because they can't share all the decisions and all the ins and outs of a business to co-workers, because they are the final decision makers, so they can't have a chat about it. Do you know what I mean? Because then they're sort of leaking information. So it can become very lonely and isolating. So I think this is important for leaders to realize that it's not just a situation that can happen because you are in that particular situation. It's also because if you have sevens, it just means that that magnifies a little bit. And then the other negative connotation is the inability to accept internal reality. So the sevens will kind of hide and say, yes, it's fine for a long time, but it's not. And they can put up with things for a long time and then hide it when it's not okay. So that's like they're not accepting how they're really truly feeling, and they're not sharing it with anyone, and they're just putting up. And then they may share that with someone else, it's like behind the back sort of thing, potentially, somebody who they feel safe with. But yeah, so there being two people, past life violation of the flow of universal abundance. I mean, I have a typical being two people situation in my extended family at the moment. I'm not going to go into the details, but it is so typifies the seven. The person have sevens in karma, in physical karma, I think. I think it's physical karma. Gosh. So we just found out about this person, the true life. There's no judgment at all, but it was like double life, literally double life. So that's really interesting how the seven can play out. So that's the negative connotation. So if you are thinking of, really activating more of your sevens, or coming into leadership using your sevens, I very much recommend that you look at your chart, see where your seven is. But if there is no sevens and you think, yes, I do want to network, and coming out of isolation, people can be feeling isolated without sevens, if that makes sense. But then I really recommend a seven in the overlay. So we basically put a seven in the new common name, so that it becomes a new frequency that comes into your life. So I think that was all for today. I absolutely love that I have sevens myself, because it's helped me build my business, and it helps me lead. It helps me be catalytic when I'm working with people in groups. But it's also the energy that I've had the hardest to transmute, actually, because of the hiding situation and because of not feeling safe. This is the thing. I still choose a very good moment speaking with someone I love, like my husband, or a close member of the family, or a good friend. I still have to really pick my moment when I really want to share my truth, how I truly feel. And I really have to pick that moment. I can't just go, oh, this is how I feel. I have to still focus and make sure I be brave to do it, because I still feel that not feeling safe, it's a part of my makeup. And me even saying this on the podcast is really good for my sevens. I'm admitting, my vulnerability, so to speak. And that's very good for my sevens, because that means that they start transmuting even more, and I find it easier to share more, and those things. So these are like personal things that I find tremendously hard to share, and then when I do, I feel a lot better. And it takes me a while as well, for example, to share anything in coaching sessions and mentoring sessions, or if I have healing sessions with my mentors. It takes a little bit of time for me to come to sort of take the leap and say, right, okay, this is what's really going on. I won't just jump on it as soon as I feel something and then share it. It takes me a little bit of time before I get to action with it. So, which is fine, I'm still working with that. So yeah, that's the seven. If you have any questions on the seven, let me know. I'm here to help. Feel free to book your soul contract reading, or your soul contract immersion, which is a mini package, working with a soul contract. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts as well, what you thought about this session, this episode, and see if it was helpful. And I'll see you soon in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Jenny Lyon's Visionary New Earth Leaders podcast. If you're ready to rewire your subconscious mind, clear your programming and collective conditioning, transform your trauma into trust, and step into your soul's calling and true leadership, or if you're ready to unlock your fullest potential through activating your light body and expand your consciousness exponentially, detangle and clear your past life karma and Akashic records, and setting up for success, launch your online spiritual business, and so much more, then go to jennylyon.love. And if you're receiving value from the show, I would love if you would share it with a friend and give it a 5-star review. Also, you can join me in one of my live free trainings, and you can find it right on the website, as well as in the link in my bio across all social media. I am Jenny Lyon across all platforms. I wish you a blessed day, and may you live your most authentic self.